Now guys, the next meaning is trade payable account. So trade payable account is got two parts. One is called creditor, another is called bills payable. So trade payable is something which comes under liability of the balance sheet. So let me show you the balance sheet portion. This is balance sheet. So in balance sheet we have two parts. On left hand side, what do we record? Liabilities. On right hand side, guys, assets. Okay, and I said you that liabilities bifurcate in two parts. One is internal liability, just part A, and part B is external liability. So internal liability is comprises of capital and let's suppose reserves. So what does comes in external liability? In external liability, the first thing what we are going to learn today is called trade payables. Trade payables. So what is liability? It is something which I pay in future. So liability is something which business has to pay in future. So trade payable, under trade payable, you have two things. Under trade payable, you have first thing is called as creditors. And second thing is called as bills payable. Bills payable. Are you able to see how many categories are there? This is how the balance sheet will look like. So we have to understand trade payable. Trade payable consists of two things. One is creditor and second is bills payable. So what is a creditor? Person who gives the benefit, without receiving money or money's worth immediately. So which means this is businessman and this is, let's say, a creditor. So creditor is a person who is supplying goods to the business. So business is purchasing goods. Business is purchasing goods from creditor without paying. So who gives the benefit? So creditor is a person who's giving the benefit. What benefit is giving? He's giving the goods. So when he's giving the goods without money, can I say he's giving you some benefit? Without receiving money. So against these goods, you did not pay him any money. Neither you paid cash or did not pay any money's worth also is not paid. But to claim in future. So a person who gives the benefit without receiving the money or money's worth immediately, but he will claim the money in future. He is giving you the benefit of the goods and he claim this money in future. It is called as creditor. So creditor is one to whom business owes the money. Business will owe the money. Creditor is one whom business owes the money against the credit purchase. So business will owe the money to the creditor. Business will owe the money to creditor. So he is called as creditor. So creditor by normal English, what we called him as supplier. We normally call him as a supplier or a vendor. So supplier or vendor is a person who is supplying the goods. If he is supplying the goods and if he is not taking the payment, then he is termed as creditor in accounts. And he'll be recorded on the liability side of the balance sheet because should you not remember to pay him the money? Why are we recording this creditor? Because this is to remind business that you need to pay the money. Let's say 2 lakh rupees. You have purchased goods worth 2 lakh rupees. You have not made the payment. So this will give you a reminder and indication that boss, please remember to pay him the money. So this is called creditor. This is called creditor. Any doubts in creditor, please? Any doubts in creditor, please? You have to remember this word. You will very frequently come across this word. You'll have to keep this in memory. Can we go to bills payable? Bills payable means bill of exchange accepted by a person or enterprise, the amount of which is payable by business on the specified date. So this is little technical. Let me give you one example. So this is business. And this is, let's suppose, creditor. Or let's suppose technically, let me call it as supplier. Supplier. So supplier is given goods. So we have purchased goods on credit. So can I say that he'll be called as creditor? Which means I have not made the payment to the supplier. This is called purchase goods on credit. Okay, not okay?
Okay, sir.
Correct? So this is the creditor. Now what is bills payable is basically business, and this is supplier, supplies goods, that is purchase good. I am purchasing, business is purchasing goods on credit. On credit. So he is not making the payment. So can I say both whatever I wrote on board, both are same? Yes or no? Whatever I drew on board, can I say both are same? But I call this as creditor and this as bills payable. You know when I'll call bills payable? Now please tell me, can I say this is the money which business has to pay in future? Pay in future. Correct? If I don't pay this money in future, can I say it will be a loss to this creditor? If I don't pay this money to the supplier in future, can I say there is possibility of loss for this creditor?
Yes, sir.
In this bills payable, what is happening? You know, what is happening when the goods, sorry?
A written note will be given.
Yes. Now what is happening is when supplier is supplying this purchase goods, he's not giving just like that. He's telling, if you want to take the goods on credit from me, you need to give me in writing a promise. A promise has to be given that I'll pay in future. And if you don't pay the money as you promised, I will drag you to the court and I'll require the money in the different ways. So can I say the supplier is also a creditor? Can I say slightly secured? He is secured, and can I say this guy is unsecured? There is no security for this guy. If in future businessman says that I'll not pay, there's no proof, there's no promise. So can I say bills payable is also something we have to pay? Business has to pay to the supplier only. Here also business has to pay to the supplier only. Can I say in this transaction it is very much unsecured and this transaction is very much secured? So what is the difference? What is the difference between creditor and bills payable? The first point is not a difference. The first point
Not
is
secured.
creditor is also created when there is a credit purchase. A creditor is born when there is a credit purchase. A bills payable also is born when there is a credit purchase. Without credit purchase, there cannot be bills payable. Second main difference is this is unsecured.
That is secured.
Unsecured. And this is secured. This is the only difference. Rest other points are common between creditors and bills payable. Rest all everything is common. The only difference is this guy does not give a promise. This guy does not give any promise. This guy gives a promise. Promise in writing. He gives in writing. The promise which he gives in writing is technically called as promissory note. Promissory note. Promissory note. Or it is called bills of exchange. There's a separate chapter on these two topics. There's a separate chapter on bills payable, which I'll discuss in detail. But as of now, just for your knowledge, a promise can be given in form of promissory note and bills of exchange. Both are different. Why? What is both are different? I will discuss this in detail when I come to bills of exchange topic. Now, I'm not going too much in detail. I'm just trying to give you explanation and difference between creditors and bills payable. Bills payable means it is a bill of exchange accepted by a person or the business, the amount of which is payable by the business on the specified date in future. So which means this is a bill which is accepting to pay in future date in writing. In writing.
Sir,
yes,
so then creditor is only the bills receivable, sir?
No, bills receivable is different. Bills payable and creditor both are same. Bills receivable is different. I'll come to bills receivable when I come to asset part. Creditor is a person. He's also a supplier, and bills payable is also a supplier. Both are supplier. Here the promise is given. Here the promise is not given. When promise is given, it is called as bills payable. When promise is not given, it is called as creditor. Both are the liability holders. Both are the third party to whom the business will have to make the payment.
Yes.
Point clear?
Yes.
Any doubts in trade payables? These two combined together is called trade payable. Trade means what? Trade means business. Trade means business. Business payable. So business payable means any money which is supposed to be paid by the business in future is called payable. Payable means what? English. Paid means what? 1 second. Paid means what? Can I say the cash is paid? Paid means paid. Already it is cash is gone from my hand. Payable means what? Payable means I am yet to pay. Yet to pay. Payable means yet to pay. Trade payable, business payable means business is yet to pay. Are you getting the meaning, guys? Anybody who's still struggling to understand this? Guys, I hope I'm clear. Arman?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Ayush? Tanvi? Okay, so this is trade payables. So we discussed about in balance sheet. We discussed about capital so far. We have discussed reserves are yet to discuss. We will discuss this in future. Trade payable is discussed. Next category comes bank loan. You know what is bank loan? All of you, there's no need to explain separately. Bank loan means what? It is the money that business has taken from bank and we have to pay in future to bank. You have to pay this in future to bank. So majorly these are the items which will come in the liability side. Majorly there could be certain other small items that I'll explain you as and when we do the practical questions. Majorly these are the items that will come on the liability sides. Apart from that, one more thing will come, which is drawings. So what is
Taking
drawing?
the money for the personal use.
Yes, amount
from the
of
business.
amount of cash or the value of the goods or the asset which is taken from the business, withdrawn from the business by the owner for personal use is called drawings. So drawing are of two types. Drawing can be against capital or against profit. So this concept is there. You will understand this in your 12th standard, but still I'll explain you. You'll very much be understanding what I'm talking. So drawing is of two types. Against capital. You know what is capital?
Money. Liability.
It is the capital is the money which is invested by the owner in the business. So now what has happened? SPJ has invested money in Fortune's Fund Learning Academy. How much capital I gave? Let's say capital I gave is 5 lakh rupees is the capital what I gave. So I continued the business for 5, 6, 7 years, went on. Now what happened is suddenly I was urgently in need of money for my personal purpose. And I did not have, personally in my personal cash, I did not have that much money. So I came back to the business. From business, I took 2 lakh rupees. So this 2 lakh rupees which I take, I'm taking against capital, which means I will not bring that money back in the business. Once I remove that capital from the business, this 2 lakh rupees, I will not bring this 2 lakh money wapas again in the business. So this is called drawing against capital. So drawing against capital will be subtracted from capital. So 5 lakh minus 2 lakh. So what is the remaining capital? 3 lakh. This is called drawing against capital. Any doubts at this point? So drawing will, I said you when we discuss the capital point, drawing will be subtracted from capital. Now one more point. SPJ is given capital to Fortune's Fund Learning Academy. Let's say the capital is 5 lakh rupees. So SPJ
and your one
5-6 years. During this year, every year SPJ earned a profit of, let's suppose 3 lakh rupees is a profit. So what is my total capital? 8 lakh rupees. Now SPJ is urgently requirement of money. So he's withdrawing 2 lakh. So 2 lakh first will he withdraw from profit or will he withdraw from capital? Obviously, you'll withdraw from profit, right? So whatever the profit you're earning, obviously you want to enjoy that profit. No, so owner will withdraw. So what is happening? Yes. Owner is withdrawing, is minus drawing 2 lakh rupees. So balance is how much? Balance is 6 lakh rupees. 6 lakh rupees.
Yes.
So this 2 lakh rupees money which is withdrawn is drawing against profit. So how much maximum money I can withdraw against profit? Maximum. What is the maximum I can withdraw against profit?
3 lakhs.
3 lakhs. If I withdraw anything above 3 lakh, then it will be drawing against capital. So drawing against profit can be maximum to 3 lakh because my profit is 3 lakh only. Anything over and above that is capital. So both drawings are subtracted from capital because profit also is getting added in the business. No, it is getting added to the total capital. So both drawing against capital and profit is subtracted from capital. So I think Nikhil, you had some point when we were discussing this. You had some question. What was that question? Nikhil? Nikhil, you there? Ayush, you there?
Sir.
Nikhil is not here. Any reason why Nikhil is not here?
No, sir. I'll just call.
Yeah, Ayush, please just call him no once.
Sir, he has some network issues, sir.
Okay, Nikhil.
He'll join in 2 minutes.
He's joined. Nikhil, how long you were missing in this? From where you missed out?
Sir, from bills payable.
My God, you bills payable.
Sir, even I was not able to hear you, sir.
Why, Smriti?
Don't know, sir. Network issue, sir.
Okay, so let me first complete the explanation of drawings part. I was explaining drawings. Drawings is of two types. One is against capital, second is against profit. So what is against capital? If SPJS invested 5 lakh rupees as capital, so against this 5 lakh rupees, if I'm withdrawing the money 2 lakh rupees, then this drawing is called drawing against capital. What is capital? Capital is the money which is invested by the owner in the business to start the business. So if against this 5 lakh rupees we are taking the money, it is called drawing against capital. On the contrary, if SPJ is investing 5 lakh rupees as capital, and I said you that whatever the profit is being earned, that profit will get added to the capital. So 5 lakh is the opening capital, profit is 3 lakh. So what is the total capital? Nikhil, what is the total capital? 5 plus 3, 8. We learned, right? The profit will get added to the capital. So my capital is 5 lakh, my profit is 3 lakh. So what is my total? My total is 8 lakh. So if I withdraw 2 lakh rupees, will I withdraw against my profit first or will I withdraw from my capital? What is more logical? Withdrawing against profit is more logical or withdrawing against capital is more logical?
Withdrawing against
profit, right? So this 2 lakh which I'm withdrawing against profit is called drawing against profit. So maximum drawings against profit can be 3 lakh because my 3 lakh is maximum profit. So over and above 3 lakh, if I withdraw anything, that excess amount will be against capital. For example, if I'm withdrawing 4 lakh rupees, so 3 lakh will be against profit and 1 lakh will be against capital. Is this point clear? Is this point clear? Any doubts in drawings, please? Nikhil, you had some doubt with regard to drawings that time, no? What is your doubt? There was one doubt with regard to drawing and I said you that remind me here, I'll discuss that point. You forgot?
Yes, sir.
No problem. When you remember, just remind me, I'll explain. Just quick revision. What is the difference between creditor? Creditor will take place whenever there's a credit purchase. What is credit purchase? When business is buying goods without paying to supplier, it is called credit purchase. So bills payable and creditors will come into picture when there is a credit purchase. So what is the difference? The difference here is when I'm purchasing goods on credit, I am not giving any promise. I'm not giving any promise. So if the business is not giving the promise to the supplier, it is unsecured for the supplier. It is unsecured for the supplier. So if business does not pay money to the supplier in future, then it is loss for the supplier. In bills payable, what happens is when the goods are purchased, the supplier takes promise from the business in writing. In writing, promise is taken that, okay, businessman is promising to pay so and so money in so and so future date. If businessman does not pay so much money, I will take him to the court. So it is a promise. So this will be called secured. This is secured. So this is unsecured. This is secured. So difference between creditor and bills payable is that creditor is unsecured, bills payable is secured. So promise is given of two types. One is promissory note. Second is bills of exchange. What is promissory note? What is bills of exchange? Both are different. I'll explain in detail when we come to bills of exchange chapter. There is a separate chapter called bills of exchange where I'll be discussing this promissory note and bills of exchange in detail. As of now, you need to understand that creditor is my liability because business has to pay to the supplier. Bills payable is also a liability which business has to pay to the supplier. The only difference is this is unsecured and this is secured. Okay or not okay? Any doubts, guys?
Sir, I have a doubt, sir.
Yes, boss.
So the first 2 points are the same in both the differences, sir. So should we write it down? Like,
No, just this is only for the explanation. So you will have to, when somebody asks you what is creditor, in your TS Grewal book, textbook, there is a meaning given. So we'll have to understand from there. We have to use the same kind of wordings. Nothing wrong if you write this also, nothing wrong. But this is, I'm just teaching, I'm just giving you outline, I'm just giving you picture, what it means. I'm giving you the important keywords, what are the main difference. These are all my language. This is only for my way of teaching you so that your understanding becomes more easier.
yes, sir.
Correct? So we have completed trade payables, we have completed drawings. So mota moti, I think broadly we have completed the liabilities. Now it is time to start with asset. Can we start with assets? Where did you come across asset? Where do we come across asset?
Balance sheet.
So in balance sheet, we prepare left hand side is called as liabilities and right hand side is called as asset. So we have to understand, so just like we understood what is liability, we need to understand what is asset. So what is asset? Asset is any physical thing. It is a physical thing or a right or a property which is owned by the business. Which is owned by the business. So first of all, can I say asset is something which is owned by the business? Keyword, main keyword is owned by the business. So anything which is there with the business, and if business is owning that, owning means what? Owner. The owner of that property is what? Business. Then it is called as asset. For example, if the business Fortune Academy is buying a land for, let's suppose, 20 lakh rupees. So can I call this land as asset because Fortune Academy is owning this land? The owner of this land is Fortune Academy. Can I call this as land? Can I call this as asset?
Yes, sir.
Building. Building also somebody has to own, no? If Fortune Academy is running in a building and that building is owned by the academy, to construct this building, academy, or to purchase this building, academy has spent 30 lakh rupees. The money what I paid is recorded. So this building I purchased for 30 lakh. Land I purchased for 20 lakh. I use the word purchase. If it is purchase, why is it not going to purchase account? Why is it coming to asset account? I said you that if I buy something with the intention to resell, then it will go to purchase. I'm buying land and building here. Is my intention to sell or use?
Use.
So that is why it is asset. Are you able to understand? Furniture. I'm buying furniture with intention to use. Furniture is worth 5 lakh rupees. I'm by purchasing furniture 5 lakh. Intention to use. Can I say furniture belongs to academy? Can I say furniture is owned by academy?
Yes, sir.
So all that thing that you purchase and that is owned by business is called as asset. First point. If this is clear, let me know. I'll proceed forward. Can I say land, building, furniture is physical thing? It is a right. It is a property, and that has monetary
Sir, I have
value.
a doubt, sir.
Yes, boss.
So suppose if we own a vehicle, sir, we register in the name of the business, sir, but we even use it for the personal reasons, like for some other reasons other than business.
Vehicle. Still, if it is registered in business name, if you're like majoritarily using for business, then yes, you can record. Let's say you're buying a car for again 4 lakh rupees. It will come here.
Yes, sir.
You're absolutely right. This will come here. Next, this is first meaning of asset. Now we are going towards second meaning. Asset means anything that business expects to be received in future. Asset is anything that needs to be received by the business enterprise in future. Can I say to receive in future? Anything which I have to receive in future is called as. Can you give me one example? Can you give me some example?
So debtors.
Debtors. Now what is debtors? It is so basically business has sold goods to customer and customer did not pay you the money. Customer says I'll pay in future.
Credit.
So this customer is called
Yes,
debtor.
sir.
This customer is for us is debtor because we have to receive. So debtors means
Yes.
we have to receive. Creditors means we have to pay. Debtors means you have to receive. So I sold goods on credit for 2 lakh rupees. I sold goods. Purchased goods for 2 lakh is creditor. Sold goods for 2 lakh, which means I sold goods on credit. I did not receive money. I will receive this in future. I will receive this in future. 2 lakh. It is called asset.
Yes, sir.
Liability has got one explanation. Asset has got two explanation. Two thing can be asset. Either you should own it. If you own it, it can be asset, or you have to receive in future. Another example. Can I say bank balance? Bank. In the bank account, you have a balance of 3 lakh rupees. Can I say bank is you are owning? Are you owning bank? Do you own bank or bank is owned by somebody else? In the bank, you can only own account. You cannot own bank. Bank is different. Account is different. Have you heard this called bank? Have you heard something called bank account? If somebody has to do bank transaction, it has to go to bank. It has to open an account and it has to operate. So you are deposited the money in bank. So what is the process? Why people open bank? If I have to make payment to somebody in Delhi, is it possible to send cash from here?
No, sir. You can directly
So what I do?
transfer the money to their bank account.
So I go
With
to
the
bank.
details.
I go to bank. I ask banker. So who is this? Fortune Academy. Fortune Academy is going to bank. He's telling bank, please open an account for me. So bank will open an account for you. Bank account in the name of Fortune Academy. And they will give you the control to you. So you will deposit money in this. So in this, what will happen? You will have money inside. You will deposit, let's suppose 5 lakh rupees. So it will get added to your bank account. So whatever money you are depositing in the bank, you are putting in the bank, it will get added. And whatever you are withdrawing from that, if I am making the payment to the Delhi party, 2 lakh minus. If I am withdrawing money, 2 lakh minus. If I am buying some furniture, 1 lakh minus. So bank, in bank, so let's say it can be any bank. Let's say it can be Axis Bank or HDFC Bank, any bank. In bank, you have the account. So can I say Fortune Academy will deposit cash? You'll put money in the bank. So can I say this 5 lakh money, is it with you or with bank? You deposited 5 lakh rupees cash. You had cash in your hand, 5 lakh rupees. You went and deposited in bank so that whatever money is there in bank, you can transfer to the person in Delhi. So this 5 lakh rupees is the money which is it with you or is it with your bank?
It is with us, sir.
It is not with you. It is with the bank. Who is holding that money? You are holding or bank is holding?
Sir, but then the account is ours, no, sir.
Account is yours, but who's got the control? If tomorrow bank decide not to give this money, can I say that bank this money will not come to you? Who's got the possession of the money?
Bank.
Are you getting the point? Who's got the possession
Yes.
of the money? Possession is with bank. So can I say when I demand this money in future, it will come back to me? So technically, bank is asset because either you own that money or you can say that this is the money which I'll receive in future. So either you can say I own the amount of bank money, so it is asset, or else I'll receive in future. In which case, bank is the amount whichever is there in your bank is your money, so it is your asset. Correct? Next example is you have given advance, loans and advances. You have given loan to somebody. Here what happens? We take loan. If we take loan, we call it as loan. We call it as loan. If we have taken loan from any third party, apart from bank, we call loan. If I give loan, business gives loans to somebody, it is called loans and advances. Advance means what? Giving. Advance means giving. Advance means giving. So I gave 4 lakh rupees as loan to somebody. Can I say this money will come back to me in future? When I ask, will it come or not come?
Yes, sir.
I gave money to somebody. If I give money to you as loan and advances, will you pay this money to me in future? So any money which I expect to
Yes.
receive in future is 4 lakh. So when I look at this, what it means, okay, from debtor 2 lakh has to come, from bank 3 lakh has to come, from loans and advances 4 lakh has to come. So this is my asset. Anything which I have to receive is called asset. Investment. Next, last example I give. Investment. Investment means what? You are investing in the market, share market, or you're investing in the bank. You're putting your money in bank. Why? So that you get some interest out of it, some return out of it. You're investing in share market to get return in form of dividend. So I invested 2 lakh rupees in the investments. This is the money I receive in future. Will I not receive this investment amount in future?
You will, sir.
This is called asset. Another example of what you own, the assets what you own. Cash. Cash, can I say you own it? You have 3 lakh rupees as cash, you own it. Stock. Stock means what? The goods that is unsold, that the goods which is there with the business, the goods that I purchased and which I did not sell it. Can I say it belongs to the business? If I purchase 30 laptops, in that 10 I have sold. Can I say 20 belongs to business until it is sold? Until it is sold, can I say this 20 belongs to the business? Can I say the ownership is with the business? So these are the so many items which is coming on the asset side. Guys, are you able to understand what is stock? Stock means what? The goods which I am purchasing after selling the remaining goods which is there with the business is called stock. So this is called asset. So asset means any physical thing, right, property owned by the business. It has to have monetary value, or anything that needs to be received by the business enterprise in future. These are the two major definitions of asset. If this is clear, let's proceed forward.
So,
Everybody, Smriti, you went out. Did you miss anything major? Were you there when I explained the concept of owned and to be received in future? Smriti? Your voice is very, very mild. Can you talk little loudly? I'm not able to listen to her. Can somebody listen to what she's saying?
no, sir.
Smriti, your voice is very mild. Smriti, is my voice audible to you? Okay, okay. Can I continue? Okay. So asset is these two things, guys. Apart from that, asset has got 3 classification: non-current, current, and fictitious. Basically, what happens is when I prepare the balance sheet, I record here liability, I record here asset. Instead of, so you never, anywhere in balance sheet, you never write internal liability anywhere. You never write external liability anywhere. This is only for your understanding. We write it as, what you know, capital. Like this is called non-current liability. Non-current liability. Then we have current liability. These are the categories under which you will record everything. So what I'm trying to tell is, so when we don't use internal liability, external liability anywhere in the balance sheet, instead of internal liability, we use the word called non-current liability. And then under this, we have so many items. Then we have something called current liability. Under this, we have so many items. Similarly, here we have non-current assets. Under this, we have so many items. Then we have something called current asset. Then we have something called fictitious asset. These are the headings. So this is how you create a balance sheet. So when you come to the balance sheet part, practically I'll explain what is the meaning of non-current, current, and fictitious asset. Because this is now too early for you to understand what is non-current, current, and fictitious. Correct? Can we go forward? So what are asset? Asset is economic resource of the enterprise used by the business for its operation. So can I say that when I talk about land, building, furniture, machinery and all, am I using, these are the resource which I'm using for the business? Yes or no? Can I say all these things I'm using for the purpose of the business? So asset
Yes,
is
sir.
economic resource of an enterprise used by the business in its operation. So one more point is,
Used,
with regard to
used for the
asset,
business purpose.
it has to be used for the business purpose. Now let me explain you. Additional point with regard to, if you want to classify land, building, furniture asset, you need to add additional points. It has to be used for, increasing the income, used for earning income, or rather I would say, you will call something as asset an asset will increase the revenue earning capacity. Revenue means income earning capacity of business. So these land, building, furniture will either help me to increase the income earning capacity of the business. So if I categorize them as asset because I own, so first point is ownership. I told you that first point is ownership. You have to own it. Second point of asset is it has to increase the revenue earning capacity of the business, or it should maintain the
Yeah,
revenue
income.
earning capacity of the business. So this is the second point. This is the first point. This is the second point. And the third point, that these asset should be used by business for more than one financial year, which means, can I say the land what I'm buying, can I say it is owned by me? First point.
Yes, sir.
So first point satisfied. Second point, can I say this land will help me to earn the or increase the revenue earning capacity of the
Yes,
business?
sir.
Can I
Yes,
say
sir.
that it is used by the business for more than 1 year? Will you buy the land, use for 1 year and throw the land away? You'll
Not
use it again like
necessary.
every year. All the three conditions, if it is satisfying, only then you will record land on the asset side. In case, okay, so in land it is satisfying. Let's suppose, let's talk about building. Can I say building is something what we own it when you purchase? Yes or no?
Sir, is it necessary to be one year, or it can be more than 1 year also, sir?
If it is more than 1 year only, it is asset. If it is less than 1 year, it will go to expense in trading and P&L account. That's what I'm coming to that point. I'll give you a lot of examples. You'll get a clarity. Don't worry. Building, can I say I'm owning it because I'm purchasing it? When I buy building,
Yes,
can I say that building will help me to earn the revenue of the business, help me to increase the income, or at least help me to maintain the business? So first two points are satisfied. Third point, can I say building what I buy, can I use this building for more than 1 year? The building what I'm purchasing, what I'm owning. Obviously, building is a item which will long for so many years. So can I say it is contributing in the development or maintaining of the business for more than one financial year? If all the three conditions satisfied, building is an asset. Yes, boss, you're asking something in between.
So what if we take it on rent?
That is different. Rent means you pay rent, so you don't own it. So first point itself, it is failed. So the rent what you pay, it will come to your expense in your trading and P&L account.
Okay.
Correct? Furniture, I'm buying it. So can I say if I'm buying, I'll be the owner?
Yes.
Can I say furniture, it may increase the revenue earning capacity or it may maintain the business depending on the nature of business. If I'm running academy, furniture will help me to increase my revenue earning capacity. How? More furniture, more students to sit, more business to me. So my furniture in my business, it is helping me to increase the earning of my business. But if it is, let's suppose, jewelry shop, the people are coming and sitting on my furniture. So is furniture helping to earn the increase my income, or it is helping or supporting to run the business? It is supporting to run the
Okay.
business. So can I say furniture I purchase, so I'm the owner? Either it is helping me to increase the revenue earning capacity, or it is helping me to maintain the business. Can I say the furniture what I use, can I say it is used for more than 1 year? If I buy a big furniture, can I say it will be used for more than 1 year?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
So then it is furniture. If at all this furniture you are not able to use for more than 1 year, if it is spoiled or getting completely used within 1 year, in that case, can I say the third point is failing? First two conditions are satisfied. Can I say third point is failing? If third point is failing, then furniture cannot be recorded here. It will be recorded in trading in P&L. So for a furniture to come and sit on the asset side, all the three conditions has to be satisfied. If any one condition is failing, it will go where?
Trading and P&L account.
Yes.
Expense.
Expenses. It will go to expense. Are you able to feel the difference now?
Yes, sir.
What is the difference between asset? So that's why I said you, if I buy furniture, I'll give one solid example. With this, I'll summarize the asset. If I'm buying furniture, I have two possibilities. One is I am purchasing. I'm purchasing furniture. Purchasing furniture. What is the intention? Intention is to resell. Let's suppose the intention is to resell. Intention to resell. So I'm buying furniture for 3 lakh rupees. So where will I record this? Or let's suppose I'm purchasing for 30,000 rupees. I'm purchasing this for 30,000 rupees. What is my intention? My intention to resell. So where will I record this 30,000 purchase? In which account? Purchase account, expense account, or asset account?
Purchase account.
Purchase account. Second, my intention to use. In that also two categories. Intention to is to use. So I'll see for three conditions. Intention to use. If three conditions, what are the three conditions? Three conditions to discuss now. It has to be owned by me. It has to be for increasing the business or maintaining the business. And third condition should be what? For more than 1 year. The asset has to be used or the furniture has to be used for more than 1 year. If the three conditions are satisfied, then what will happen? This furniture I'll record where? Asset account. Asset account. If three conditions not satisfied, three conditions
Expense.
not satisfied, then it will go to expense account in the trading and P&L account. So this will be trading and
Yes, sir.
P&L account.
P&L
This will
account.
go to my balance sheet. And this is going where? This is going where? Trading and P&L account.
P&L account.
Are you able to get the feel now? What is assets?
Yes, sir.
So asset is something which has more than one useful life. This is just normal to understand. This is what asset is. Can we see what is trade receivables? With trade receivable, I'll wind up today's session. Trade receivables means what? Trade receivable means business. In business, I have to receive something. So trade receivables is something related to debtor and bills receivable. Debtors and bills receivable. So it is an amount receivable upon sale of goods or rendering of services. So guys, business we can do of two types.
Sale or manufacture.
I can be in the business. My business can be of two types. Either I can deal with goods or I can do service. Now what I'm doing is a business of service or goods. Service means you will use your knowledge, skill, etc. and I'll be giving the service. So my business, the nature of my business, the Fortunes Fun Learning Academy or Gulf Academy is giving service business. And if I buy something and sell something is called goods. So goods again can be of two types. Trading. Trading means what? Buying and selling. Then the next is
Buying and
manufacturing.
selling.
Manufacturing means what? Manufacturing and selling. Are you able to difference? Business is of two categories. It can be for goods. It can be for service. Goods means what? Trading. Trading means buying goods, selling goods as it is. Manufacturing means what? I'm buying raw materials, creating a product and selling the product. So manufacturing the product, selling the product. Service means what? Using my knowledge, skills, my degree, everything. I'm doing a service to you. I'm not physically doing anything. This is physical. This is physical. This is non-physical.
Mm.
Correct? So
Yes.
when I sell goods, when I do goods and service, if any amount I'm received, so I'm giving a service to you and you've not paid me the money. So the money, can I say it is receivable from you? Received means what? Received means money is already come. If I'm yet to receive the money, the word used is receivable. Receivable means I'm yet to receive. So I have done service to you, you are yet to pay me, then that amount what you are supposed to pay me is called amount receivable. So the amount, anything which is receivable upon selling the goods or rendering the service in the ordinary course of business is called trade receivables. So trade receivables of two types, one is debtor, other is bills receivable. So debtor plus bills receivable put together is called trade receivables.
Trade receivable.
What is a debtor? Debtor is basically, this is businessman, this is customer. So business is sold goods to the customer and customer is not paid the money. So when business sold the
Business
goods,
is the debtor.
business did not take any promise from the customer for payment. So person who receives the benefit, can I say the customer has received the benefit without giving the money or money's worth? Can I say customer has received the benefit of the goods from the business without giving the money or money's worth immediately, but he will pay in future. So business, so
Yes.
customer will pay the money to the business in future. He's called debtor. So debtor is one who owes the money
Owes the
to
money.
the business against the credit sale made to the debtor. It's called debtor. So debtor is unsecured, which means I did not take any promise from the customer. Tomorrow, if the customer does not make me the payment, I'll have to bear the loss. I will have to bear the loss. That is called debtor. And another concept is where business is selling the goods to the customer, and when selling the goods, I'm taking a promise in writing from the customer. Promise. Then can I say this is secured? In case if this is promise is taken, then this customer is not called as debtor, he'll be called as bills receivable. Means bills of exchange accepted by the debtor, the amount of which will be received on the specified date by the business. Same concept. Debtor, creditor, opposite. Bills receivable, bills payable, opposite. Debtor means my customer has to pay the money. I did not take any promise from the customer. It is called debtor. If I've taken promise from the customer, it is called bills receivable. So bills receivable is secured, debtor is unsecured. Any doubts in this point, guys? Comfortable, not comfortable? Are you getting the meaning behind everything? Because if you're not understanding the meaning, when you do journal entry, will it make any sense to you? You're doing journal entry without knowing these meanings. Will it make any sense to you?
No.
You will just apply the rule, but nothing will go into your mind. Now, when you understand the meaning and you apply it, it will become even more enjoyable. When you understand things, you'll start loving the subject. And trust me, guys, accounting is one of the beautiful subjects. It's 100% logical subject where everything has got a meaning. You ask me a question and I will reply for you that. You ask me one question, I'll reply you for that. Because everything in accounts has got meaning. Everything is meaningful. Nothing is without meaning. So like other students, a lot of people when they come in 12th standard, 11th standard, they get scared. Even 12th standard student, when they came with, beginning with me, they got scared. But eventually when I started giving, explanation, they generated the comfort. So 12 people who joined with me, they made a mistake of not, going tuition 11th properly. Because in 11th, if you're not properly understanding each and everything, in 12th, you're going to face a very tough time. So luckily you're here, you're understanding everything, and the amount of information what is given from my side will be so much that, you will start understanding the concept in every bits and parts. I hope by now you have got the flavor.
Sir, I have a doubt, sir.
Yes, boss.
Sir, in drawing, sir, it is written drawing against profit may or may not reduce the capital, sir. Sir, how will it reduce the capital, sir? It is written may it can reduce the capital.
Drawing against profit. So what happens? Drawing against capital reduce the capital. Drawing against the profit. So if I'm withdrawing any money against the profit, will it reduce the capital?
No, sir.
If I withdraw over and above that, then it may reduce the capital.
Oh.
I
Yes.
said this point. You getting this point now?
Yes. Yes.
Second point, one more view of this is if you're adding this profit to the capital. So I said to you that capital, along with capital, you add profit. But there are situations where you will not add profit along with this capital. You will keep profit separately. So if you're withdrawing money against this profit, so this profit I never add with capital. So when I withdraw this money, against profit, will it reduce
Reduce.
capital? It will not reduce
No, sir,
capital.
it will not reduce the capital.
So any money which I'm withdrawing against the profit, and this profit is included in this capital, this will amount to reduction in capital. This will not amount to reduction in capital. So you'll have to wait, to complete the 11th accounts, and somewhere in 12th accounts you'll get to know why profit is not added. Normally profit is added to capital, but what are the situations when profit is kept separately, that we will study eventually.
Yeah.
Any other doubts, please?
No, sir.
Right, guys, with this we'll wind up today's session. We'll meet tomorrow as agreed with the timing. We'll meet on that time, and tomorrow we have morning session also and evening session also. So let's understand a lot of things, and by tomorrow I hope we should start the 6th chapter. What is the rules and regulations of the debit and credit, right? We should hopefully start that also. Right, guys?
Yes,
Sure.
sir.
All right, guys, thank you so much. Take care. Good
you,
night.
sir.
See you. Bye-bye.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.